1. Rick Moranis. When it comes to disappearing acts in Hollywood, also Rick Moranis might just hold the championship belt. Back in the 80s and 90s, he was the nerdy comedy genius everybody loved. Ghostbusters, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Spaceballs. This guy was everywhere. He wasn't the action hero with six-pack abs, but the awkward neighbor, the clumsy scientist, the villain with a helmet so big it looked like it was designed by IKEA, and then he was gone. Just like that. Hollywood woke up one day and realized, wait, where's Rick? Fans kept asking if he was shrunk like his kids or maybe trapped in another dimension with the Ghostbusters. The truth, however, was heartbreaking, but also inspiring. In 1991, Rick's wife passed away from cancer, leaving him as a single dad to two young kids. And while most stars would have hired a team of nannies and gone back to the red carpet, Rick made a different choice. He quietly left Hollywood behind to raise his children full-time. No big drama, no farewell to acting speech. Just, my kids need me. And that's exactly what he did. Instead of film premieres, he was attending school plays. Instead of movie scripts, he was reading bedtime stories. Instead of blockbuster contracts, he was signing permission slips. Rick Moranis went from Hollywood star to Hollywood's most committed dad. He once said in an interview, "I didn't retire. I was just a single parent, and acting was too hard to manage." That's the most Canadian, humble way of saying, yeah, I gave up millions of dollars to pack school lunches. For him, fame was optional. Family wasn't. Then, in 2020, he randomly appeared in a commercial with Ryan Reynolds. The internet exploded like he'd returned from the dead. Memes everywhere, Twitter trending. For 30 seconds of ad time. That's how much people love him. Now, Disney has a new Shrunk movie in the works with Rick set to return. But even if he never made another film, his legacy is already secure. He's proof that sometimes the bravest choice isn't staying in the spotlight, but walking away from it. 2. Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman was Hollywood's grumpy powerhouse. 2 Oscars, 5 nominations. Unforgettable roles in The French Connection, Unforgiven, The Royal Tenenbaums, and of course as Lex Luthor in Superman. Gene Hackman was the kind of actor who could scare you, inspire you, and make you laugh, sometimes all in the same scene. And then in 2004, he decided to step off the stage. No dramatic farewell, no final performance world tour. He just stopped. His last movie? Welcome to Mooseport with Ray Romano. Not exactly the kind of legendary send-off you'd expect. Fans were like, wait, Hackman ended a career full of classics with that? But Hackman didn't care. For him, acting had become exhausting. At 74, he said goodbye to the camera and hello to a quieter life. He didn't just sit on a porch drinking iced tea. Hackman reinvented himself. He started writing novels, historical fiction, crime thrillers, and not cheap celebrity vanity projects, but actual well-received books. Turns out Gene Hackman could tell a story with a pen just as brilliantly as he did on screen. Today, his journey has already reached its quiet end. In February 2025, Gene Hackman passed away in Santa Fe at the age of 94. For years, fans loved spotting him in rare everyday moments. Riding a bike, shopping for groceries, pumping gas. Now, those memories feel even more precious. He left Hollywood on his own terms, and in the end, he also left life the same way. Peacefully, without scandals or comebacks. 3. Jack Nicholson. Jack wasn't just an actor, he was the actor. With that devilish grin, those raised eyebrows, and that unmistakable voice, he could play anything and make it unforgettable. From One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest to The Shining, from Batman's Joker to A Few Good Men, Nicholson wasn't just in movies, he was the movie. But over the last decade, something changed. Jack slowly disappeared from the big screen. His last film was 2010's How Do You Know? After that, silence. No new roles. No Nicholson making mischief on the late-night talk shows. For a while, rumors swirled. Was it health? Was it memory loss? Was Jack just tired of Hollywood? The truth seems to be a mix of all three. Nicholson reportedly struggled with memory issues, making it harder to learn lines. And honestly, at some point, what else does Jack Nicholson have left to prove? 3 Oscars, a dozen iconic roles, and a career spanning over 50 years. If anyone earned the right to kick back, it's Jack. And that's exactly what he's been doing. Today, he lives mostly out of the spotlight. Occasionally, he's spotted courtside at Los Angeles Lakers games. Sunglasses on, big grin, like the king of Hollywood enjoying his throne. But other than that, Nicholson has embraced retirement. No big press conference, no farewell movie. Just Jack being Jack, privately. Of course, fans miss him. The idea of never seeing Nicholson raise his eyebrows on screen again feels like a crime against cinema, but maybe that's what makes his story special. 4. Joe Pesci. Let's be honest, Joe Pesci is not the kind of guy you forget. He's short, fiery, and when he's on screen, you listen. Whether he's threatening someone in Goodfellas, cracking jokes in Home Alone, or playing a lawyer in My Cousin Vinny, Pesci has this energy that makes you think, okay, I'd never mess with this man in real life. In the 80s and 90s, Joe Pesci was untouchable. He was part of Scorsese's dream team alongside Robert De Niro. Raging Bull, Casino, Goodfellas. His performances were electric. He even won an Oscar for Goodfellas. And his acceptance speech was famously short. Literally 6 words. It's my privilege. Thank you, boom. Done. Classic Pesci. But then, Pesci pulled a vanishing act. Around the late 90s, he decided he'd had enough. He didn't like the Hollywood circus. He didn't need the money. And honestly, he just wanted to play golf. Yes, golf. The guy who played one of cinema's scariest mobsters traded in machine guns for golf clubs. He still popped up occasionally, like in The Good Shepherd, 2006, and later in Scorsese's The Irishman, 2019. But those were exceptions. Most of the time, Pesci stayed retired, enjoying his low-key life. 5. Daniel Day-Lewis. If Hollywood had a Mount Rushmore for acting, Daniel Day-Lewis would probably be carved right in the middle. The man is widely considered one of the greatest actors of all time. He wasn't just good, he was legendary. From My Left Foot to There Will Be Blood, Day-Lewis didn't just act, he transformed. He lived his role so completely that it was borderline scary. Playing Abraham Lincoln? He spoke in Lincoln's voice even offset. Playing a ruthless oil man? He became a ruthless oil man. The guy was like a method acting machine sent from another planet. And the awards proved it. 3 Oscars for Best Actor, more than anyone else in history. In 2017, Day-Lewis shocked the world by announcing his retirement. At just 60 years old, when most actors are still cashing in on sequels and reboots, he walked away. His reason? Acting had simply stopped giving him joy. In his own words, I didn't want to do it anymore. That's it. No scandal, no meltdown, just a man who had reached the top of the mountain and decided I've seen enough. These days, Day-Lewis lives a quiet life in Ireland. He dabbles in woodworking and shoemaking. Yes, shoemaking. Before acting, he was obsessed with craftsmanship, and after retiring, he returned to it. Imagine the world's greatest actor making you a pair of boots. That's Daniel Day-Lewis for you. 6. Sean Connery. The man who was James Bond before James Bond was even cool. With his Scottish accent, sharp suits, and unmatched charm, Connery defined what it meant to be a leading man. But Sean Connery wasn't just Bond. He starred in The Untouchables, Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, and even The Rock with Nicolas Cage. He won an Oscar, became a knight, and lived the kind of career most actors only dream of. Then came The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen in 2003. Let's just say it wasn't extraordinary. In fact, the experience was so bad that Connery basically said, you know what, I'm done. He retired, moved to the Bahamas, and enjoyed his wealth, golf, and sunshine. At that point, he was already a legend. What else did he need to prove? He had Bond, he had Oscars, he had respect. Connery passed away in 2020, but his legacy remains untouchable. He left fame for a quieter life, and in doing so, reminded us that sometimes the greatest move isn't your next role. It's knowing when to stop. 7. Brendan Fraser. This one is a bit different. Brendan Fraser didn't so much choose to leave fame. Fame kind of left him. Back in the late 90s and early 2000s, Brendan was everywhere. The Mummy franchise, George of the Jungle, and Encino Man. He was Hollywood's go-to guy for action comedy. He was funny, and he had that everyman hero vibe audiences loved. But behind the scenes, Fraser was struggling. He suffered multiple injuries from doing his own stunts. He went through a tough divorce. And in 2018, he revealed that he had been sexually assaulted years earlier by a powerful figure in Hollywood, something that left him blacklisted in the industry. As a result, Brendan faded away. Roles dried up, he gained weight. The guy who was once swinging through the jungle in a loincloth was suddenly nowhere to be seen. Fans missed him desperately. But here's the twist. Brendan didn't vanish completely. He kept working quietly in smaller roles, and thanks to the internet, especially the Renaissance movement on social media, fans pushed Hollywood to give him another chance. And boy, did he deliver. In 2022, he starred in The Whale, a performance so powerful it earned him an Academy Award for Best Actor. Technically, he came back, but for nearly 2 decades, Brendan Fraser lived outside of Hollywood's spotlight, forced into a quieter life by circumstances. And when he returned, it wasn't for money or fame, but for redemption. 8. Tobey Maguire. If you were alive in the early 2000s, chances are you've shouted, "Go, Spidey, go!" at least once. Tobey Maguire wasn't just an actor, he was Spider-Man. For an entire generation, he was the face behind the mask, swinging through New York and stopping trains with his bare hands. But here's the twist. After Spider-Man 3 in 2007, Tobey quietly stepped back from the spotlight. While fans were waiting for Spider-Man 4, studio drama and creative clashes ended the franchise. Tobey walked away. So where did Tobey go? Well, he didn't exactly disappear. He took smaller roles, like in Brothers and The Great Gatsby. But instead of chasing fame, Tobey shifted gears. He became a film producer. Behind the camera, he could tell stories without being chased by paparazzi. And let's not forget, Tobey has another hobby: poker. He's not just a casual player, he's actually a professional-level poker shark. Rumor has it he's won millions at high-stakes tables in Hollywood. Of course, Tobey made a nostalgic return in Spider-Man: No Way Home, 2021. Fans went wild seeing him back in the suit, proving that even if he left Hollywood's spotlight, he never really left our hearts. Tobey's story is simple. Sometimes you don't need to chase every role. He built his legacy early, then chose a quieter, more strategic path. And honestly, that's the most "with great power comes great responsibility" move he could have made. 9. Freddie Prinze Jr. If you grew up in the late 90s, Freddie Prinze Jr. was basically everywhere. He was the ultimate teen heartthrob. She's all that I know what you did last summer, Scooby-Doo. He was Hollywood's go-to guy for charming boyfriends and lovable heroes. Girls had posters of him on their walls. Guys secretly wanted to be him. For a while, Freddie was the face of young Hollywood. But then something strange happened. He just stopped. The roles slowed down, and Freddie didn't seem interested in chasing the spotlight. Instead, he made a surprising career shift. He went into cooking. Yes, cooking. Freddie even published his own cookbook called Back to the Kitchen. Imagine the teen idol who once saved Mystery Inc. from monsters, now saving dinner with a perfectly cooked steak. Freddie also found his second home in the world of voice acting. He voiced Kanan Jarrus in Star Wars Rebels and worked behind the scenes with WWE as a creative producer. While people were wondering where Freddie disappeared, he was helping write storylines for professional wrestling. Totally unexpected, but pretty awesome. Most importantly, Freddie chose family. He married fellow 90s star Sarah Michelle Gellar, aka Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and together they've lived a low-key, happy life away from the Hollywood chaos. Freddie proved you can have fame, then walk away to build something even more meaningful. 10. Cary Grant. Cary Grant wasn't just an actor. He was the definition of movie star charisma. With his slick hair, witty charm, and sharp suits, Grant ruled Hollywood in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. He starred in Alfred Hitchcock thrillers like North by Northwest, romantic comedies like His Girl Friday, and timeless classics like An Affair to Remember. Unlike many stars who clung to fame until the very end, Cary Grant decided to retire at the peak of his powers. In 1966, at the age of 62, he walked away from acting. Not because he couldn't get roles, but because he simply wanted a quieter life. He became a businessman. Cary joined the board of directors for cosmetics giant Fabergé and later invested in various industries. Imagine James Bond retiring to manage a perfume empire. That was Cary Grant. Even after retirement, Cary remained one of the most respected and beloved figures in Hollywood. He didn't have scandals, didn't try to stage a comeback, didn't get desperate for roles. When he passed away in 1986, he wasn't just remembered as an actor, but as a symbol of old-school elegance. Cary Grant showed the world that sometimes leaving fame behind doesn't erase your stardom. It makes it eternal.